All right, and we are live. Welcome to the Good Vibes Chat. I'm your host, Tina, and today we are going to introduce the podcast. So to start off, I just want to give you a brief background about this podcast and what it entails. The Good Vibes Chat is obviously going to be centered around positivity, good vibes only here, and we are really going to be discussing life experience and growth. And I'm going to open up the conversation, get a little deep sometimes, have some lighthearted episodes. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to have you guys along with me on this journey. Just a little background about me. I'm 23 years old. I don't know if you guys have seen my other videos, but I love making content for social media and connecting with people around the world. I've had a bit of a rough past, but I'm ready to really grow. I've been kind of figuring out who I am, especially in the past 5 years, which I know sounds a bit dumb. Of course, when you're my age, you're figuring out who you are, but I've just had a lot of trauma and a lot of loss, so I'm ready to kind of find myself in the next 5 years, say. I grew up a middle child out of a 5-child household, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, that's some background about me. I would love to get to know you, my viewers, so please introduce yourselves in the comments. And yeah, let's just get started. Alright, so episode 1, season 1. I cannot believe this is happening. This has been a dream of mine for a while, and I'm finally tackling it. So to begin, I wanted to start the season off on a positive note, and I wanted to talk about trying new things. This is never easy. It's never easy to transition or make a big change in life, but it is so necessary. We've all lived through this, but I can say I think I've mastered this over the past couple years, and I know that's a bold statement to make, but I am someone that can easily adjust to change no matter how hard it hurts or how difficult it may seem. And so I wanted to share some tips with you guys. I get friends asking all the time, like, how are you so good with change? How are you so comfortable with it? And to be honest, I wouldn't say I'm comfortable with change, but I make myself comfortable with it. My tips for success when it comes to mastering change. Number 1 is to push yourself. I know this may seem obvious at first, but it's always better when you try something and push yourself to do it in the end than like what you expected. So for example, every time that you're trying something new, maybe you're thinking something really negative about it, you're really nervous, you're thinking about all the things that could go wrong, and then in the end it turns out okay. For example, presenting. I know in college I had to do a ton of presentations. I would be so nervous, right? So there's this one instance. My senior year of college, I had to do a presentation on stress hormones, which is funny. Like, stress hormones, I'm giving a presentation on it and I'm stressed out about it. Now, I am not someone where like memorizing anatomy, biology, none of that stuff came easy to me in college. It never came easy to me in high school. It was topics that I struggled with. No matter how interesting I thought it was just very hard for me to memorize the technical terms and explain that. And that's what my whole presentation was about. I had to explain how glucocorticoid hormones affect the body in an experiment done on apes, right? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, there was a lot of terms that I didn't really understand. I was really nervous about the language and making sure that the audience understood what I was saying. And my professor really had to quiz everyone because there were questions at the end of each presentation about what it was about and to explain the presentation in your own words. So I really had to know my stuff. Once I got up there, I started to feel more confident than when I was in preparation. I practiced on my boyfriend, my siblings. I FaceTimed some friends and I practiced my presentation then. And it was like, okay, it's not going to get any better than how it is. I just have to do it. But then after giving the presentation, after I was up there, I was getting confident, I realized, okay, it's really not as bad as I thought it was. It's not as dramatic as I thought it was. And I feel like that same feeling can come up many times in life. So try to picture that feeling of accomplishment at the end of trying something new. I hope that makes sense. So for example, you just got a new job and you're really nervous. You're not sure if you're going to adjust to the routine or the schedule. You're really nervous about getting on time, about changing your whole life to this new schedule. Think of it as, okay, after a few weeks, I'm going to be a pro. After a few days, it's going to feel better than the first day. So when you're trying new things, always keeping in mind that you just got to push yourself and that it's not as bad as it seems. My second tip for you guys is deep breathing. If you're like me, when you're stressed out and you're nervous, like sometimes you go a whole day without even realizing that you didn't take a deep breath. This happens to me so often, so I've made it a habit to try and take time and just deep breathe for at least 2 minutes in a day. Just focusing on breath work, I feel like really helps, especially when you're struggling with adapting to something. For example, at my new job, I would get really stressed out and just take a bathroom break. And as nerdy as this sounds, I would just like focus on my breath in the bathroom and deep breathe. And I would come out feeling so much better, so much more confident, and just feel like ready for the rest of the day. So yeah, deep breathing really helps, especially when you're getting anxious about change. Like just calm down for a minute and focus on your breath. And I promise you'll feel a lot better. And that's like something that you could do instantly to make yourself feel better, which is awesome. And then lastly, a pros and cons list. This is huge, right? Think about it. You're starting something new. What are the pros to tackling this new thing? Make a whole list. Now, what are the cons? Maybe you're moving and you're trying to think about the cons of the move. Maybe the stress is one of them. Location, maybe. But then think of all the pros. Maybe you're paying less in rent. Maybe you're closer to family. Maybe you're closer to work, or maybe this new place is bigger and better than the last one. Go through, make a pros and cons list, and it'll make everything seem less intimidating and make the change just overall seem less scary. I find this always helps, especially when I journal. It just feels so much better to just break everything down and simplify it. When we simplify things, we can tackle them, right? What about this change is scary to you? What about this change feels wrong? And what about it feels right? It's really all about perception and really changing your mind. Change is scary, sure, it's different, but it's necessary. If we never changed, we would have childlike mentality, we would never grow, we would do the same things every day. Change is so necessary in life so that you can move on and go into different chapters and phases, and it's exciting, as scary as it can be sometimes. So yeah. And that is the first episode of our podcast. I am really excited to kick things off with you guys. I know this was a short one, but I feel like it was necessary for me to have a first short introduction and a taste at what being a podcaster is like, if that's even a word actually. But I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What is it about change that is scary? How do you tackle change? Or if you feel like sharing, I would love to hear a scenario in which you tackled change or adapted to a change. I would love to hear those stories in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening. All my socials will be in the bio below, and I can't wait to talk to you guys again. Have a great day. Bye.